Okay, so you've probably played around with chatbots, but let me tell you, that is just scratching the surface. We're moving way beyond simple conversation now. Imagine an AI that's less like a search engine you ask questions and more like a dedicated assistant you can hand entire projects to. Yeah, welcome to the age of Agentic AI. And really, the best way to think about this whole shift is to imagine you're hiring a digital employee. I'm serious, you can give your computer a complex, multi-step task and then just walk away, trusting it to get the job done.
So what even is an agent? Well, at its core, it's a system that uses a large language model, an LLM, to understand its digital world, to reason through a problem, and to actually use tools to finish a project. The key difference here? It does all of this without you needing to supervise every single step. It acts on its own to hit a goal.
All right, so let's dive in. Here's our game plan. We're going to break down this new kind of AI, then we'll look at the core parts, the brain and the harness. We'll get into the real cost of thinking, figure out your setup options, and finally, the most important part, the ultimate safety switch. First up, let's get our heads around the fundamental shift that's happening. We're moving on from the AI we know to the agents we're going to build. And this is all about going from just creating content to actually solving problems. The real shift here really comes down to purpose. A standard generative AI is fantastic for one-off tasks, like drafting an email. But an agentic AI, that's built to handle a whole chain of tasks. We're talking researching a topic, analyzing what it finds, and then compiling a full report, all by itself. And this slide really nails the jump in capability. See, on one side, you've got us, the humans, deciding every single step. But as you move across the chart, the AI takes over. It starts deciding the steps on its own, it chooses the right tools, and it can even retry things until it solves the problem. That is a huge, huge leap in autonomy. So how does this all work under the hood? Well, an AI agent really comes down to two key parts. You have the brain, and then you need a way for that brain to actually interact with the world around it. First up, you have the brain. This is a large language model like GPT, Claude, or Gemini. Think of it as this incredibly advanced prediction engine that can understand language and plan out all the steps to complete a task. But, and this is the key, on its own, an LLM can't actually do anything. It's just a brain in a jar. So for that brain in a jar to be useful, it needs a body, right? It needs a harness. That's exactly where a framework like the open source project OpenClaw comes in. It gives the LLM hands and tools to interact with your digital world. This is the bridge that lets the brain actually research the web, read files, and run commands. Now, this digital brain doesn't just run on electricity. It runs on something called tokens, and every single thought it has comes with a real-world dollars and cents cost. So the way it works is that AI companies bill you by the token. Now, a token isn't exactly a word, it's a piece of a word. A good rule of thumb is that about 1,000 tokens is roughly 750 words. Every single bit of text you send to the model and every bit it sends back, it's all counted and it's all charged. But here's the really costly catch. The thing that can make your bill just spiral out of control. LLMs have no memory. Zero. So to have a conversation, the entire previous chat has to be resent with every new prompt just to give it context. So the more you talk, the more it costs, and it gets expensive fast. So how do you manage these costs? Well, the smart move is to use different models for different jobs. You bring out the big guns, the expensive, powerful models like Opus for really complex reasoning. For your general everyday tasks, a mid-tier model like Sonnet is perfect. And for the simple, repetitive stuff, you use the cheapest and fastest models like Haiku to save some money. Okay, so you've got the concept, you understand the costs, but where does the system actually live? You've got two main options, and the choice you make comes with some really important trade-offs. And here is the best part. You probably don't need to buy anything new. To run the gateway that connects to the AI models up in the cloud, that dusty old laptop you have sitting in a closet is probably powerful enough. We're talking really basic specs here. A processor with just 4 threads and maybe 4 gigs of RAM. This is a key decision. See, running the agent on your own laptop gives it incredible power. It can see your local files, it can use your logged-in browser, it's the ultimate for privacy. The downside? Your computer has to be on for it to work. The alternative is a cloud server. It can run 24/7 for just a few bucks a month, but it's blind. It can't see anything on your personal machine. Okay, let's talk about the most important feature of all, especially when you're giving an AI the autonomy to act on its own. We need to talk about safety, and we need to talk about staying in control.
This right here is your ultimate safety net. It's the biggest advantage of running an agent locally. If the AI ever starts doing something unexpected, you have the one thing that every single rogue sci-fi robot lacks, a physical off switch. You can just pull the plug. You are always in control.
So look, the technical details might seem like a lot, but as we've seen, getting started is way more accessible than you'd think. You probably already have the hardware, and now you have the foundational knowledge. So the real question you got to ask yourself is, once you have this powerful assistant at your fingertips, what's the very first task you're going to hand over?